Hello, people. I'm here. Oh my god, hello. And I'm gonna make a Hollow Knight tier list of the charms. So this is gonna get a little heated pretty quickly. Um, but yeah, I haven't played Hollow Knight in a while. But I just think I was bored and probably we should be doing some schoolwork right now. Anyways, let's just start off. Starting with Baldur Shell. This is a bit hard to put, but I'm gonna put a pretty solid C tier because I've used Baller Shell, and it's useful in some scenarios, but in most not. But it is at least an interesting charm, like some here. But it's fun. Carefree Melody. Now, here's the thing with this one is I haven't really ever used it after I got it, which I mean mainly because that was probably more recent since last time I played, I guess. But it's I hear it's good, but it's never really worked for me. So I feel like putting it in the same as Water Shell would be kind of lame. Please don't kill me. Um, but B tier seems really high up for it, so I'm gonna put it in B tier because that makes sense. Dash Master also B tier. I don't really use it very much, but I think it deserves the B tier here because I feel like um, it's just a pretty good charm and it's helpful in some scenarios. I haven't used it that much because there's so many much better charms. But speaking of much better charms, we got Deep Focus. Now here's the thing with Deep Focus. Yes, it deserves a D tier. D's not a D tier. D for Deep Focus. I don't think it really deserves an F tier, which I don't know if I'm going to be putting anything in there. Well, actually, I might, but I feel like it deserves a D tier because it's really not that good. And whole point of boss fight is that you're not gonna have a time to just take a breather and like refill too. Sure, you can do it with quick focus, but I think we all know that seven charm slots for two charms that isn't even that game breaking. Like some charms on here, I didn't find it in time, but so it's not really worth it. But if you're doing parkour, then it actually is, or I mean platforming, please. Oh god, they're gonna kill me, aren't they? Um, Platforming. I found out cool something helpful is using deep focus and grub song, and I'm not really sure what else, but when you do deep focus with grub song, you get the soul from grub song, and then you can heal using less souls to do more. And if you and that this is before high blood, assuming that that's useful. I mean, I use it in the White Palace, but before then, I did use it for some harder platforming sessions when I had deep focus and grub song. I found them to be fairly useful. But otherwise, I feel like it's just a pretty bad charm. Defender's Crest. Well, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna be honest. It's getting a high D tier. Like the deep focus is definitely a low D tier based on the fact that I feel like Defender's Crest is definitely better. But interesting that they're both D. But interesting. But anyways, oh, is this in alphabetical order? That's probably why. Um, but basically, I don't really end up using it. It's only useful in like the Lostkin or Broken Vessel fight, and that's kind of it for me. I feel like it deserves a C tier if I actually be honest. So I'm actually gonna move it there because I just realized it's actually kind of useful. But yeah, I feel like that's fair. So now we're gonna move on to what is this Dream Shield. I I remember getting it, and that's kind of it. I don't really remember using it ever unless I was just joking around trying out charms. I I feel like he just goes here. It's kind of there. It's an interesting charm, but I don't really want to be like Markov. So yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be honest here. The Dream Wheel, or what is it, Dream Wielder? It looks pretty cool. But this is a pretty decent charm, or at least in the God Home when I was doing the False Knight. I mean, going through doing like trying to do Radiant and other stuff. Even it's very helpful for like if I'm trying to do it Radiant or speed run it for fun, because that's the only thing I can speed run. But other than that, it's really helpful when you get that much salt from healing, because in the False Knight battle, he falls over, you do that. That's kind of the thing you do when you do the false when you have it in the God Home. and the amount of soul you get from it, like if you put it on like a soul catcher or soul eater with it, I mean that can be, it's a lot of soul, and then you could like kill them really fast. So it's a helpful charm compared to this guy. It's definitely a lot better. Fluke Nest. I know, so I've seen a lot of like interesting things it does. Definitely an interesting charm, but I don't really recall ever using it or it being useful whatsoever. It's an interesting, and I hear like there's some things you can do it to make it that's like really powerful, but I don't really remember ever using it, and it just it's kind of weird, but you know it's definitely not bad. Fury of the Fallen. I'm gonna put this in B tier. Now I'm definitely not good enough to be able to survive on 1 health, so getting that attack boost is not really much of a big buff for me because I know it's not gonna go through anything anyways. But I can understand how this is really helpful for the amount of damage it is. And for how early game it is, it's definitely a pretty decent charm, or good charm. So I definitely would put it above here, but for me, it doesn't go any higher than a B tier. Gathering Storm. Now here, I remember using this a lot earlier game, or not a lot, but you know, a decent amount. It's a fun one. It's a convenient charm, but it's definitely not like super useful. I feel like putting it in C tier with all these guys would be kind of rude, so I'm just gonna put it into these here because I feel like that's fair. Gathering Storm, it's not a bad one. Look at this little cute thing. Little guys pick up your coins, but that's only because you're too lazy to get the coins. And when you can get the coins, there's no point in getting them, and that extra amount of coins ain't gonna help you that much. Or is it? Then we have Glowing Womb. Oh, my friend's gonna kill me about this, but this is. I'm gonna be honest. It's going in a very low D tier. I'm not a hold that yellow pen. Don't worry about it. But I've never used it as much as the cool one. Like what? It's like, well, where is it? Weaver Song, but like weird and not cool. Like I don't want mini versions of myself, and combo with this, I don't want stinky versions of myself because I'm not trying to clone. But the point is, it's not good for the fact that they take soul from you to like appear. Like I don't want you here. I don't want, like, I'd like to be able to. You want to have a choice with what you're doing because control is a big part of the game, I guess, or really a lot of things. So having to have something, and especially control your souls, and having little things that just like take some of your soul. Like I need to heal. I don't need a little guy that's gonna do like 5 damage. So it's pretty bad. And honestly, you know, I want to put an F tier, but I'm just not. I'm gonna keep it at the very bottom of D tier, just to so it feels ashamed, I guess. Now, Grimchild. I've never actually gotten the charm because I chose for this route because I am not spending 8 months fighting Nightmare King Grim. I still am yet to beat him. Yeah, I haven't practiced that much, but still yet to beat him. He's definitely very difficult, but I'm not going to. As much as this charm looks pretty epic, it's just Grimchild, but more powerful. And the Grimchild, well, this is Grimchild, but you know, it's a cool charm, but I think I'm gonna put it in C tier for this one. I think that's fair. Because as much as it's definitely the coolest of the little friends, because it looks cool compared to, yeah, it's only one, and as much as it's nice to have a little flying friend with you, it's not anything too special, and not worth killing Nightmare King Grim over when you can get a better charm for not doing the hard work. Oh, crap, Rubberfly's Elegy. You know, I'm not sure what this, you know, after getting it, I'm not really sure getting all the grubs is really worth for this. I'm pretty sure that's what happens when you get them all. Yeah, I remember that's the charm you need to get. But for it, it's definitely a cool charm that can be useful in some areas, and it's cool, like, it makes your nail a Master Sword. But it's really not useful whatsoever, so I'm gonna give it a D tier, to be honest. I think that's fair. Now, a Grub Song. I'm gonna be honest. I love this charm. I think it's a very practical one notch charm. As much as it's not super useful, like it doesn't give you that much soul. I think it's just a nice addition to add. Like I feel like I always have it, And I feel like it's just necessary for me to have it because it's just so useful. Because I always like know that it's useful for platforming. It can be used. It's not really useful in boss fights. Like if I'm doing a boss fight, I'm probably gonna get out some of the more big boy charms. But the Grub Song is definitely a lovely charm, and I honestly think A tier suits it. Heavy blow. Oh, I think that's what this one is. Not only is this icon, whatever you want to call it, kind of bad. I mean, was this Game of Thrones? I haven't watched that, but it's like my Minecraft. You don't put knockback on the sword. Just kill the creeper. If you're too much of a coward to kill it, then okay, it's kind of rude. It's not. Creepers are very scary, but the point is, heavy blow is bad. I'm going to put it in D tier because I don't really understand its existence. High blood. I think this deserves middle C tier. Fender Crest should go up a little higher. But the thing with high blood is that this actually, bro, doesn't matter. High blood, it's only useful like for one thing, and as much as it's cool to have all your little hive hearts, it's for however many was it 4 charm notches. That's definitely too much. But in the White Palace, that's kind of all you really need. Besides, maybe a Dash Master or Grub Song can be helpful. Maybe a deep focus if you're feeling deep. Well, actually, I don't think that's enough. But really, or whatever other charms. So you don't need any like attack charms for the most part. So it's definitely not. It's definitely that's when I used it after Hive Night. Anyways, there's not much else to that besides that, but yeah, I think it's an okay charm. It doesn't really have any more uses, but I feel like it deserves C tier because I think it's a cool charm, and that's kind of it. Joni's Blessing. I've never really used this because, well, I know I'm gonna take a lot of hits, but I also would like to heal my hits because I know I'm gonna take more hits than my health most likely in a hard boss fight, or at least early game when I sucked. But Joni's Blessing, it's definitely a cool charm, and I think it actually deserves a B tier on this one. But just barely, because as much as a cool charm, I'd rather be able to heal and then have a bunch of blue hearts that I can't heal because I have a feeling I'm gonna take a lot more damage than however many this gives me. But it is nice to have a bunch of hearts. It's so sad, cool looking. King Soul. This is not a charm. It is a piece that turns into an actual charm. Now, actually, I'm not going to do this one yet, but it's definitely better, even though it's not much of a thing. King Soul, sure, it does something, but but barely. It gives you like 2 soul per second. I was just watching a charm tier list, which probably gave me inspiration. But this is, I mean, for the fact it turns into this thing, I'm going to put it in D tier. D for King Soul, because that makes sense. But other than that, like, what? Okay, now we've got Lifeblood Core. Well, this is like Lifeblood, but you're actually like investing in it to make it more. Now, technically, it's a better deal for 3 for 4 instead of 2 for 2. But you're not. But you have to go through all this freaking stuff just to get it, and it's not even that much better. So I honestly feel like this one gives a C for core, and then the heart going along with it actually gives also a C. I put it in B tier if it was better, but other than that, yeah, that's kind of it. Long Nail. I don't remember getting this at the start of the game. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I think the point here is that it's not useful. Okay, well, it's just not very good. But I don't think D tier suits it very well. I think that's a bit rude. So I'm going to put it in there. And honestly, I think I'm going to put, yeah, Core's actually staying there. Mark of Pride. This is A tier. Oh, whoops. Very high A tier. Grub Song is barely an A tier, if I'm being honest. Because it's technically not that good of a charm. But we're past that. Mark of Pride. It's like Long Nail, but if Long Nail was good. I think Mark of Pride deserves an A tier as much as... it's an A tier. I didn't use it that much, mainly because I beat the Mantis Lords late. But I think the Mark of Pride, I think not only does this look so sick, but it's definitely a great charm. Having that reach is always helpful. Like, you know why hackers are good at Minecraft. Like bruh. Anyways, Nail Master's Glory. Now, The issue with this one, I'm gonna give it a B tier. Now a lot of people would put this in A or maybe an S because yo, I'm a sweaty player. I do the nail arts. You see, I'm not. Because I don't understand how I'm gonna do that. I haven't played in a while. I forgot how you actually do the nail arts. I'm just gonna use my spells and my nail because the nail arts are too complicated for my mind. But I understand it's a good charm and it's definitely useful for those that use nail arts. And I hear it's really good. But for me, I think it can't go more than a B. Quick focus. I'm gonna put it in C tier because it's. I don't remember. For 3 things, it just makes you heal faster, and as much as that is actually a thing that everyone wants to be able to heal faster, because a lot of times you're healing and then boom, no, don't heal. But the quick focus, I don't remember when you get it. I think you can buy it from what the cool elephant. I mean what, but you know I don't really think it's any more than a C tier, to be honest. It's it's really not that cool, and deep focus is definitely worse, but it's not too special itself. But I think it's okay. Quick slash, this one goes in A tier. It's so fun to use because obviously speed, reach, and strength, wherever we can find it, are some of the coolest charms you can get. I mean, coolest things. It just feels cool when you have it because when you go so fast, that's like, oh yeah, a lot of damage. And not only does this look so cool, it's just yes. Shaman Stone's the easy S tier. Not only can you get it so quickly in the game, but it's easily one of the most powerful charms, making your spells better, and your spells are obviously the superior way to kill things. So I feel like it's only fair to put it there. That rhymes. Shape of Fun. Now this is definitely not a bad charm, but who the hell uses it? Now, sure, you turn into a slug. That's pretty cool. That's you can move around. That's also pretty cool. But why would you use it when you can use literally anything else? So I don't have anything. I think it's definitely a cool charm, but it's not useful when you compare it to like for in certain scenarios. As much as it's such a fun charm, it's not really it's not really useful. Sharp Shadow. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna put this at the very top of B tier. It's close to an A tier. I would put it. I kind of want to put an A tier. I'm like, not only does it's probably one of the coolest looking charms. It's just once you get really getting the shade, your cool dash, shade dash, whatever you want to call it. It's been a while, okay. It just that's probably one of my favorite upgrades. And the Sharp Shadow just makes it cooler and makes it so you do damage, and it's also very helpful in the Big Mantis guy Trader Lord's fight. And really, it kind of makes it more of a possible fight. So it's also really good in the Crystal. You see that this is what happens when I haven't played in a while. The guy in Crystal Peak, laser guy. Yeah. Help me, please. This video is long. I just opened up Pate.net. Help me, please. So, anyways. Okay, and then now, and I just feel it's a great charm. Is it there? Almost, but now we're on Soulcatcher. Soulcatcher, honestly, I think it gets a C tier for being a C tier charm. Now, this charm early game, you're like, yeah, get that more soul, until I realized it barely did anything. So I'm like, what's the point? You know, it's not that much helpful. I put it in C tier because it's, I don't really know why. Maybe I just never faced reality and I'm too tired to put it anywhere else. So I think it's just going to stay there. Soul Year, on the other hand, also goes in C tier. Psyche actually goes to the very bottom, B tier. I haven't really used it much. It does look really cool, and you do good at pretty late game. But for 4 charm notches, definitely not worth it. But it's cool. You say so it goes there. Okay, anyways. Spell Twister. Easy A tier. A great, somewhat early game item. And it's just overall very useful. Like 3 spells, not enough, because 4. It's more. Anyways, it's 2 charm notches. That's not very much, and also just enough. So it's definitely a very solid charm. As you notice here, a lot of these charms are just really good, which is probably why I ranked them so high. Then we have Sports Room. I like this one, but is it good? No. I feel like putting it in a C tier would be kind of rude. I mean, kind of a little more than I want. So I'm gonna just put it in a high D tier. Actually, you know, I'll put it in C tier. Yeah, you know, deal with it. It's definitely a cool charm. Like Defender's Crest, it does that, but I'm putting in the factor that I think it's kind of a cool, fun, little cute little charm. But it also is kind of like really bad and not helpful. I think I used it in the final, in the battle, you know, the Hollow Knight, you know, the final boss. Besides, you know who, the god. Yes, and now we got Sprintmaster. Honestly, I'm gonna put it in a D tier. Now, I have a lot of bias. Well, it's not really bias. I'm just when I hear someone else have an opinion and I don't have an opinion on something, their opinion is probably going to affect my opinion because I feel like I need to. I don't know why. No, I don't know why, but I feel like people really don't like Sprintmaster, and I've never really used it, and I don't even remember it doing anything special. So I think it's just fair to put it in the D tier. Stalwart Shell. I'm going to put this in a C tier. A little lower. You see, here's the thing with Stalwart Shell. I saw it was like, what does this thing do? Oh, it does things? I'll take it. It has a very interesting thing it does, but it's not that useful in a lot of scenarios, and you don't really see the effect that much, I guess. So, yeah, I just don't see it. Now, here we are, Steady Body. I think this deserves a high B tier. The only thing is that it's only a B tier when you want it to be a B tier, if you know what I mean. Now the thing with it is that I prefer to use it sometimes, or sometimes not. It's been a while, so I don't remember what I prefer. But I remember there were times I liked using it. Like I think it was really helpful in the Coliseum of Fools. You know, you'd be a fool if you're not using it, or Grub Song really. But you're not a fool, actually. We all have our preferences. But see, I feel like it was really helpful for it because you get hit back on the platforms, and I don't want to fall on spikes because life is precious. And I think it was very useful there, and it is useful, but it's none of something you commit to. And which is probably why it doesn't go any higher than that. Plus, it's not that good. I mean, it's very helpful and practical, and for one notch, it's very solid. Thorns of Agnia. I don't remember what it does. I think it's quite obvious that it gives you thorns. Like it kills things around you when you take damage or whatever. Stuff like charms like Grub Song and it's like that do something when you take damage. Like that's not that good. Like I don't want to have to rely on taking damage to get the buff. And this one doesn't even have much of a buff, so I honestly think it deserves a D tier for me. Now, this one's get a little controversial. Unbreakable Greed. Now, Fragile Unbreakable, they only made the Unbreakable, which I believe is fine to me. I mean, I understand the need for that. I'm going to put it in C tier. Now, a lot of people really hate this charm. It's not that bad. Was it worth it getting however many, all the G, was it 9,000, 12,000, 15,000? I forget. I'm pretty sure it was the cheapest, funny enough. Was it worth it? No. Did I do it? Yes. This is how Hollow Knight, that's kind of how it works. Now, in the early game, I did use it, to farm Geo. I would fight the big guy in the crossroads and keep going back and forth. The greed would help a decent amount. It's not exactly a good charm, but it's not really bad. I don't understand the hate for it. Definitely not worth to get Unbreakable version. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter because if you're planning on doing everything, that's kind of why you do it anyway. I mean, except for getting Unbreakable Strength and Heart because those are actually good charms. But yeah, I just feel like it's a bit overhated. And I feel like C tier fits it right. Unbreakable Heart. This goes in A tier for me. A bit lower on A tier because it simply just gives you 2 hearts. I feel like I'm wearing it a lot of time. It's one of the main things I have on. Either it's if I'm just traveling or in a boss battle because those extra hearts are not only helpful, but that's kind of it. But it's just plus it looks kind of cool. It just looks satisfying to put on and have all those hearts while you can still heal. And it's very practical. And for, was it, two charm notches, I think that's very solid. It's like this guy, but if it was good. Unbreakable Strength. Now this is an obvious S tier. When I got it, I was like, Oh my god. Just I see why people like it. Because it is incredibly good. You do a bunch of damage, and when you power it with, well, any of really these charms, but mainly with Quick Slash, you're hearing, like, I don't know how the exact stats of how much, but this and then faster, that's a lot of damage. Actually, I could pull up the sound effect, whatever. Now we've got, what was his, Shade, I forgot, Void Heart. Now here's the thing, Void Heart. Okay, this one looks a lot cooler than the King Soul, just saying. Like, ooh, yeah, that looks cool. Point is, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's something you just do for the sake of doing, you know, for the story, for the percentage. It's not something you do because it's good, but it's something you do because you know, and it's something that you can't really rank. But I think it deserves S tier because it's just kind of it's just kind of S for Shade Soul or White Heart. I'm gonna lose my mind. It's just really good. You know, it's just really, really good. This is hopefully this file isn't too big because my recording is funky. But next, we have Wayward Compass. Now I'm gonna actually rate this fairly instead of just be like S tier. It brings me around. I don't know crap. Because honestly, it's not really an S tier. Like if you're doing a boss battle, you do not need this unless you have to actually walk over there and you don't know where you're going. But if you're like, but in most scenarios, like once you're in God Home or you're doing boss battles where it's just right next to you, like it's practically useless. Or also if you know how to get around, unlike me. I'm always using this when I'm traveling, which you would expect because that's what it's used for. But honestly, I think it deserves a very solid B tier. As much as I should put it in S tier because it's technically that's what it is. Don't think it really deserves any more than that technically because it's a very solid charm, but for a lot of occasions it's technically not very useful, and that's just me being serious because obviously this S here, Wayward Compass, is the reason why we win. Now, lastly, Weaver Song. I think this is all very low B tier. It's a solid charm. It's like the what's this called, but not super bad. It doesn't. I don't think it takes Shimmy Soul, but actually, Group with Grub Song, you'll get Soul from it, which is definitely very nice. It's very little damage and not anything to run home about or one of the phrases, but it's definitely solid, and I think it's a fun one. It looks pretty cool on like some charms here, and yeah, that's kind of it. I'm pretty sure that's all of them. I mean, I didn't make this thing. But yeah, you should definitely subscribe. Actually, I don't really care because this channel is so weird. But yeah, anyways.